Hello, my name is Peter McDougall. I'm Principal and Managing Director of the Leadership Academy. We provide leadership development modules for AEST BIZTOOLS. Now, as background to this webinar, I wish to address the following points. First of all, the Deloitte Digital Disruption Report, which I suspect most accountants have read, and in fact it's been accepted pretty widely right throughout the world, and in fact the implementation of the predictions in the report are already in place, or at least started. Now the implications are profound, and Peter Towers will have addressed some of the issues involved in some videos and also in webinars that he has already presented. So the disruption caused by the digital IT world, plus cloud technology and online management, online lodgement of tax returns, will certainly need to result in a strategic review of business plans. Now Peter Towers will address managerial technical issues, and I will address the leadership issues that invariably arise. And like most reviews, certainly strategic reviews, any review done will certainly lead to a need to change. And this quote is very relevant in these circumstances. The quote is by Stephen Covey, a management expert. I think he's based in Harvard University, who has written extensively about management and leadership issues. Now, if you don't like change, you're going to like irrelevance even less. And many people don't like change. They tend to resist change, and the resistance can take more than one form. It can be overt, that is, I don't like this change and I'm not going to be involved in it, or, yes, all right, I'll listen to what you're saying, but in fact they don't really listen, and they covertly even prevent the change from happening in their area of responsibility. So this is a very relevant quote. Now my purpose is this: highlight the modules that are available from AEST BIZTOOLS, because they will certainly help you deal with the changes that are necessary. You can access the more details about the information I'm going to give you now by visiting the AEST BIZTOOLS website, and go to Products, and then to Leadership Modules, and you can read at no cost some of the descriptions of the modules that are available. Now, we have developed the modules because in our normal training, the Leadership Academy training for developing leaders, we of course provide theoretical knowledge, but then we also involve participants by teams in indoor and outdoor demanding activities, which are then analysed in terms of the teamwork and leadership that has taken place, which we then encourage them to apply to their own work situations. What we found was that getting SME organisations, SMEs, of whatever business they were in, to release people for more than 2 or 3 days was quite difficult for them for obvious work level reasons. So what we then prepared were the modules that I will outline shortly. Each module comprises of facilitator's guidance with accompanying PowerPoint slides. The facilitator's guidance is designed to allow perhaps somebody senior in the organisation who has leadership knowledge and leadership skills to teach others about some essential aspects of leadership. Now, that training, of course, can take place in their own organisation, in their own environment, in their own time. So here are the modules, which I'll very briefly describe. Teams, of course, are the reason why leaders exist. And it's very important in terms of that leaders understand the dynamics that exist within a team at any time. Teams develop lives of their own. They go through various stages when they first form, which is called forming, and then storming, when they start to work together to understand other members of the team and to settle down and starting to perform good work. Norming, of course, is the next stage where the team is working fairly well, people understand each other, the tasks are clear, and productivity is increasing. The final stage is performing, where hopefully everybody is working extremely well together, they understand each other, cooperate, have trust in each other, and have trust and respect for the leader. The important thing for leaders to realise is that because of the dynamics involved in teamwork, leaders need to continuously keep an overview of what's happening in their teams so that they can take action if necessary to make changes. The next module is leadership making a difference. You can note that there's times allocated to each of these modules, and they are the approximate times that we believe a facilitator in an organisation will take to get the message across. It will vary depending upon the level of knowledge of the participants involved, and also, of course, how much discussion takes place. But they're our estimates. Now, leadership certainly makes the difference. There's a huge amount of evidence, empirical evidence from research that shows that well-led organisations certainly increase the bottom line in any organisation. And we in the Leadership Academy have adopted and adapted a leadership model, which has been prepared by Professor John Adair. He's our leadership guru. He's not a psychologist. He's not he's an historian who has delved into past establishment of leadership and teamwork and so on, going back many years. He's written a couple of interesting books, one on Confucius as a leader, and the other one is the leadership of Muhammad, the Prophet. So Adair's model consists basically of three interlocking circles. The top circle is achieving the task. Now, the task can be anything from the vision, the mission, goals, objectives, and so on. Linked to that top circle is two other circles. One is developing and maintaining the team, and the other is developing individuals. There are many sporting analogies about how developing individuals as members of teams, and you can have the most brilliant individual player available, but unless that individual player knows how to work in the team, and the team accepts that player and uses those individual skills, well, then the task will not be achieved as well as would otherwise be the case. We make a distinction between management and leadership, although the two are very closely allied, and in fact one depends upon the other. Management we look at as processes, systems, procedures involved in running any organisation, managing any organisation. And management is certainly a necessity and a vital necessity in any organisation, good management. But leadership is different. You don't manage people, you lead them. Leadership is, we believe, is about creating the environment in which individuals work willingly together to achieve common goals. And Adair's model is called a functional leadership model, in which he outlines, describes the various aspects that leaders are responsible for achieving. And they are closely allied, in fact, with the theories of management. Of course, you have to start with describing the task clearly, then planning, organising, communicating, controlling, evaluating, and of course, in respect to leadership, setting the example. It's fine to be able to understand the leadership model, or whichever model it is adapted or adopted, and but that's not all. Having a model is, in our view, very necessary. However, you not only need to know what to do, you need to know how to go about getting people to implement the tasks assigned to them. And this next module is about that, developing leadership people skills. We find many managers at all sorts of levels lack good people skills. They are promoted into leadership positions, into management positions, because of their technical and management knowledge. But many tend to ignore the need to develop good people skills. One of Professor Adair's statements is that you can be appointed as a manager, but you are not a leader until you have gained the support and the heart and the minds of the people who work for you. And you do that by exercising good people skills. In the module, we look at attitudes, beliefs and behaviours. Importantly, most importantly, shared behaviours that are agreed by all involved. Involvement is very important in terms of leadership, getting people on side and cooperating. Also, it's interesting, when people are involved, they will also innovate. And there's a great demand these days, much is spoken about the need to innovate. Also, we stress that it is important that leaders adjust their styles, their leadership styles, because everybody is different. I don't know how many people have ever walked the earth, but I guess there'll be trillions ever since human beings walked the earth. And none of them have ever been exactly the same. So you don't treat people the same, you understand them and treat them differently, and we teach how that's best done. Of course, setting the example is important, most important in terms of people skills. You cannot expect anybody to follow you if you conduct yourself in a way that is different than what you expect from the people who follow you. You have to set the example. And now, associated with people skills, closely associated, is developing relationships and trust. To gain people's trust from a leadership point of view is vital to them continuing as a good leader. Now, how can you trust somebody if you don't understand them or they don't understand you? So it's very important to make the effort as leaders to establish good relationships with the people in your team. And of course, from trust, respect, mutual respect is achieved. Also, in terms of developing relationships and trust, you can't do that unless you communicate effectively. And we have involved in this particular module is guidance on how good communication is conducted. We believe that good communication is the glue that holds teams together. I've never seen a team operate effectively if there is lack of communication between the leader and between others in the team. Motivation. Yep. Leaders must do their best to make sure that all members of their team are well motivated. What we do is, in the module, we examine the leader's view of what motivates them, what motivates leaders, and what motivates members of the teams. Fairly often they're different, and of course that needs to be understood by leaders. The aspects of motivation we examine are intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic, of course, is how people feel within themselves. What motivates me is not necessarily more money or membership of a club or getting a free use of a car or whatever. That is not intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is relates to how I feel about the work I'm doing. Am I committed to it? Am I committed to the team, other members of the team, and so on? And how it is achieved is fully explained in this particular module. Of course, the opposite to intrinsic motivation is extrinsic motivation, which is use of particular facilities, club membership, tickets to dinners, or whatever. The difference is that, of course, extrinsic motivation costs money, and not everybody is authorised to arrange for that money to be spent to try to motivate somebody. It has the motivational effect, but experience shows that the best method of motivation is the intrinsic method, intrinsic way. It is also intrinsic motivation is cheap. All it takes is the effort of the leader and others in the team to pay attention to the personal needs of other people in the team. Particularly the leader needs to do that. And it's called non-discretionary because it doesn't need approval from anybody else. It's only up to the leader to make sure that that intrinsic motivation is implemented within their team. Counselling and coaching. Coaching and counselling deal with performance problems. Counselling is used when there are organisational changes, when people feel uncomfortable about changes, and when they resist changes, as I've mentioned before, either overtly or covertly. It's also, you counsel people if they have personal issues. Somebody might be having problems at home or which are affecting them personally and therefore affecting the work that they do. Leaders, particularly junior leaders, might not be competent to actually counsel somebody some of the difficulties that people older or more experienced than them have. But what they need to do is to make sure they are aware that there is a problem affecting work. And if they can't help the person with their own counselling, well, they need to make sure other counselling is engaged. Coaching is about skills and knowledge. And you can, as a leader, you don't have to personally coach everybody in your team. There are other people in the team, in your team, that might be better than you, in fact, at a particular skill, so you should arrange for that coaching to be done by that particular person. The coaching we refer to as leadership in action. It's one of the best ways that you can show that you are interested in and make the effort and the time to increase people's skills and therefore their competence. Delegation is another method of helping motivate people, and that, of course, is a bit more complex. It's normally done at a higher level, but delegation is important, very important, in the development of key individuals within organisations. In the module, we examine the benefits of motivation, the processes of motivation, what needs to be delegated, to whom, and how. We also stress the need for good planning, and the planning should involve the person that particular tasks are being delegated to. We look at control measures, clear control measures, and and levels of authority. The person being delegated, having things delegated to them, responsibilities delegated to them, needs to know how far they can go in terms of authority. And we have a table that clearly shows how this is done. Also, in terms of delegation, follows through by the person who is making the delegation, follows through by the leader who's delegating tasks to others, needs to follow through to make sure everything is going well. That's the leader's responsibility. And of course, mutual feedback is also very important. Now, problem solving and decision making, we've found particularly in our experiential activities, that problem solving and decision making is generally fairly poor. People were getting a task, describing the task, which is good, making sure that everybody knew what the task was about, and then suddenly saying, okay, has anybody got any ideas how we can do this? Well, normally what happens is you get a whole mass of ideas, some good, some bad. Takes a fair bit of sorting out. Some not only poor and bad, but also totally irrelevant. So in this particular module, what we do is we've identified the brainstorming, which is pretty well known, it's a common term. But what's important is guidelines about how you conduct brainstorming if you're a leader. And we also teach another method which is called the logic method. This is step-by-step logical method. We examine the key factors or critical issues that need to be addressed before any real solution can be reached. We also look at possible constraints such as time and resources that might need to be taken into account. And so what we recommend is that there be a combination of brainstorming and the logic method. We should start with the logic method so we can identify what the key factors and critical issues are. As each one is identified, we'll then brainstorm them, and we teach also that you should record all the ideas. And one of the best ways to do this is by a mapping method. Just drawing on a whiteboard the key points of the idea, so you can then see how the different ideas might be linked to start to form implementation plans. And of course we recommend that you always try to come up with a minimum of 2 alternative plans. We stress that delegation is a very important leadership skill for developing people who you have identified is having possible leadership capabilities. We also have on AEST BIZTOOLS website a leadership evaluation survey. Now this is a survey that you can use when you're looking at the people you want to get together for this type of training. Have a look at how they're perceived as leaders, and the aspects looked at are not the sort of have been devised by academic study. They are the values, the qualities that team members expect of their leaders, and things like recognition for good work, involvement, trust, respect for the leader, and so on, are all evaluated. So the evaluation survey can be conducted in a period after the training to determine how well the training has been implemented. Now, you've noticed that the decision making has a yellow asterisk, and the leadership evaluation survey is in yellow, because both of these are free and can be obtained from the website at any time. Right, in conclusion, change will be inevitable as a result of the disruptions we have outlined. Good leadership is required at all levels. It's required all the time. It's required now. It will be required certainly in the future. Understanding the effects of and leading the change process will be vital. So it is quite clear that the information available through AEST Business Advisory Services will certainly assist you to deal with the various types of disruption that people have determined will occur. We'll have another session on leadership through digital disruption, which will be about dealing with change. It will be on Wednesday the 25th of September at midday. We'll be looking at a step-by-step approach, and the leadership skills required to not manage change but lead it, so that you can build the foundation for continuing development despite the disruptions that will inevitably occur. Thank you for your attention.